when you're talking about pastors and these thought leaders that you're interacting with, how do you determine who these thought leaders that you want to introduce them to? I mean, do you have certain subjects? Are there certain categories or areas that you look to? I mean, you mentioned technology. I also know you talk a great deal about the political process. I mean, you've talked about a lot of different pieces. What are the categories you employ to select these thought leaders?
Yeah. So we largely focus on sort of three different broad areas. One would be kind of faith and public life, which includes public, even political engagement. Another would be the arts and humanities. And a third would be spiritual formation. And in terms of sort of how we pick people to highlight, a lot of it is it is word of mouth, is recommendations, is kind of scholarly consensus. Obviously there are incredible minds that we have not yet had the chance to invite. So if you are listening and you have not been invited, that's no reflection on the brilliance of your arguments or your scholarly record. But a lot of it just like folks that we know and we think very, very highly of. So, in terms of kind of some of the programs that we've hosted on faith and public life and what faithful Christian public engagement might look like. There we've drawn from a variety of sources. So, there are current or past public officials that we've talked with, whether it's former Senator Ben Sass or former Governor Bill Haslam or others. There's quite a few columnists who basically observe, analyze, and write on this for a living, that either are among our senior fellows or are among our guests, including New York Times columnists like David Brooks and David French and Pete Weiner and Tish Harrison Warren, or others who are, incisive observers. We feature a lot of scholars who, actually kind of focus their vocational lives on attending to particular questions. Recently hosted Felicia Wu Song, writing on, she has a wonderful book out called Restless Devices, the way that technology kind of, not just fragments our attention, but like literally displaces us and what that displacement does
Yeah.
to the way we see reality and respond to it. So, we look at a variety of scholars, historians, thought leaders, sector leaders, and the like for our speakers. Our senior fellows, we have a group of a little over 24 senior fellows who we think kind of represent and embody some of the best of Christian thinking in their respective spheres. And so that's a broad swath of folks. Again, it includes some of the writers I've mentioned, David French and Pete Weiner. It includes ethicists like Vince McCote at Wheaton, or Lydia Dugdale at Columbia, who does a lot of writing on medical ethics, or Bill Hurlbut at Stanford, who's a bioethicist. It includes folks like Ron White, who is a presidential historian, but is kind of unique among a lot of biographers that he pays so much attention to how a faith journey kind of affects a life and a work of people like Abraham Lincoln or Ulysses Grant or Joshua Chamberlain or the like. So it's a wide specter of folks, and our senior fellows, we try to promote their work. We also encourage collaboration between them.
Hmm.
And I have been excited to see some of what's come out of that. Even if, a few examples of that, like Kurt Thompson, who is a psychiatrist and does a lot on essentially the spirituality of neurobiology. Has collaborated with Mako Fujimura, who's a visual artist, who is another one of our senior fellows, and to talk about essentially how art can kind of affect the wiring of our brains, and the way we think and the way we see the world. So there's a broad swath, and our guests, of course, are much broader than our senior fellows, but we're always on the lookout for some of the best thinking on the big questions of life.